them. I use these little wood huts and my portable panels, and I hang my water buckets, got a mineral feeder in there, and I feed hay in the blue tubs. This one's all cleaned out. I just need to put a little bit more straw in there. I've had lots of goats come through here in the last few days, but I really like these. I don't like the big holes, the big wire. Somebody built these for me, and I'm not going to complain about it. The holes are a little bit big, and the gap at the bottom of the gate's a little bit high, so the baby goats crawl through. But they were pretty much built out of scrap material that he had, so they work. The other panels inside, let me see if I can open this. They work really good. They're a little heavy for me myself to move around. I drag them around, but because I take them to pastures with me in the summertime when the goats are out on pastures and I need to catch something. But it's still a work in progress. We need to get all the what do you call it? These things right here put on all the panels so we can connect them on both ends. And these gate latches don't really work, and they're a little sharp. They're not strong enough, so it was let's try it and see if it works. And it doesn't, so hopefully this summer when I'm done with these gates I can get maybe just a piece of chain or something on them. But anyway, so I had moved these goats out this morning and got their pens all cleaned, and these all came in yesterday afternoon, so I'll get them. If everything's good, they'll go out today. Got to get their feet trimmed, their hooves trimmed, and check them for worms. Make sure, I just like to put them in here, make sure a lot of these are first time moms, so I just like to make sure that they are doing well with their kids. This doe right here had triplets, and she's going out today. I just gotta get her trimmed and then she's out of here. And I have brought my chute up here so that I can just put the goats in and trim their feet. A lot less labor intensive for me. And then on the back side I use these fertilizer tanks or whatever they were, I can't remember, but anyway, we just cut the fronts out of them, and I put a couple does in there, and like these does I'm kind of just watching to make sure they're being good moms. Their babies are just about 2 days old, and I bought these great little twisty deals, I don't even know what they're called, but I bought them from Premier, so I put on all my gates, so they work great. And this mama has triplets. And this mama was being a baby stealer, so I put her in here to have her kids. And as soon as she's trimmed and checked for worms, she's out of here. This hut actually has a gate on it. So I had a doe with triplets in here, and I put her in the front because they were a little older, and they actually went out yesterday. And she was baby stealing yesterday, so I put her in the back and let her have her babies in the hut while the other mama was out here until I got her out. And then this mama had triplets. She's got 3 little babies in there. And this mama had triplets. And that's my broken water tank that my husband broke. So I found a good use for it because a lot of times I have put 2 does in these pens, but right now they just have triplets in there. And these 2 mamas, they have graft babies. One of them had a set of preemies. One lived and one didn't, but it's too little to put out, so I keep it in the house. And it's doing good, it's just little. And so I gave her 1 baby, and then the other one had a single, so I gave her a baby, and they're doing good, but They've had their graft babies for about 2 days, I think, maybe 3. But I just want to make sure that they're good before I turn them out with all the other does, because I've had does just walk away from them when they get out in the big pen. They're like, oh, done with you. This is my hard-working dog. This is Thelma. This is another group of pens I have over here, and I use these plastic huts mainly for my wethers in my cell pen, but they have 4 of them over there. They have plenty. So I set this one over here because I had a big tank here and I tried to move it and it busted, so I threw the big tank away and just made this little pen here. This mama actually had quads. They were doing good. I pulled 2 yesterday, and they are started on the bottle, doing great. And this little mama has triplets, which she had. I already pulled one. And the one that's in the shed, she had triplets. They had their babies right next to each other, and there was a baby stealer involved in it. And so I just put, at the time they had 5 babies and I thought they were done, but I wasn't completely sure which ones were which. So I put them all in there and they kind of sorted them out, and then I split the barn. I put a panel in there. So one was locked in the barn and one had barn access but could come out here. And made sure that they knew who their babies were after that mess, and now they are good, and I pulled 1 from each of them for bottle babies. And this mama had triplets right here, and I pulled one of hers for a bottle baby last night. There's one little baby. Let's see, I'm sorry. The little brown one's hard to see. Oh, she got an extra one. Oh, the little brown one in the back's not hers. This little brown one's hers. The little brown one in the back's a neighbor. I built this little feeder a couple years ago, and I just out of some old pellets, and it works really good for this pen because the only real hay mess is right in the front. So when I tear this down and clean it with the tractor, it's good because it's not up against the wall and it doesn't build up back there. I used to feed against the wall, and that's hence why there's no wall back there. It's all broke out at the bottom. That's from the wet hay and stuff being on there. And I have this metal cage over here, and I have a mama. She was being a baby stealer too. I don't know if you can see, the sun's kind of bright. Let me walk around here. She had triplets, and she had the first one great. The second 2 came right after the other, and they piled up on top of each other, and the bottom one wasn't out of the stack. And so by the time I came back around, which was just minutes, because they were, the bottom one had sucked in too much fluid from not being able to get out of the bag, so it was a tragic birthing, but sometimes those things happen. And over here I have a doe with twins. This is where I keep my baby bottle, babies generally, so this doe's about ready to get out of here. But sometimes I think I had maybe 18 does kid yesterday, and I don't know, several sets of triplets. I'd have to look to see how many, but several sets of triplets. So I ended up putting her in here, which I don't like to. I want to keep my bottle babies, but I got 7 bottle babies in the back part of the barn that are just starting on the bottle. I just gathered them up yesterday. This is my daughter's herd, and she's got little babies everywhere. She still has 1, 2, 3 maybe does to kid or something. But so far they've all been good, and they've had twins. Everybody's doing good. So that's my kidding setup. The does kid out here in these different lots, And we actually just finished putting the wood front on the last lot that we had built last year, I think. And I just used cattle panels on the front, the big metal ones, to feed them through, because when wood hit the skyrocketed, I was like, can't do it, can't spend that much money. So we finally went and got the wood and got it done, and so the does come out here, and then I have they kid out here, and then I move them down to these pens. Especially my first time moms, or anybody with triplets, or anybody I think might be having trouble, they come to the pens. In the first few days, everybody just goes to the pens just to get them out of here, because I was a little tight on space. This little spot is where my chute was, down here. But it wasn't very convenient, but it was a temporary setup. These moms have all had babies, and they were moved from the pens, the kidding pens, down here yesterday. So I got 10 does with babies in here. And this over here is the new lot. These are my roamer goats. They just roam around here. This is the new lot. I'll start putting goats in here today. One of the posts on the very end was off, which kind of worked out because I needed a place to put my water tank, so my water tank's going to go down there. And that was like the cattle panels that we used before to feed through. But now we have all this wood done, so some of the does that are still out in the lot that have kids, I'll be collecting them up today, hopefully, and getting them trimmed and checked for worms, and then I'll put them over here. So generally I like to split up my goats more. They've been out on the field until they started kidding, and then they kept having them way down there. I got tired of going and getting them, so I put them in here. And they seem to do pretty good. But so hopefully the plan is for today is to get those goats trimmed and dewormed that are out here that have babies, and then moved into the other lot over here. And that'll get a little tight on feed space, so I generally just keep, there's another roamer goat. I generally just keep feed in the bunk all the time, and the bunks work pretty good. I have to go and push the hay up a lot, but I walk through here all the time checking for babies and stuff, so I just push it up as I go. But I think I have 4 or 5 moms out there with babies right now. And they had them fairly early yesterday, so I just kept an eye on them, and they're older does, so I really wasn't worried about it, because any bad moms don't live at my house anymore. I don't have time for that. We have about 240 does that to kid out this year, and so anybody that doesn't take care of their babies doesn't get to stay another year. But that's our setup.